morning,
Good morning.
Morning.
good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. I hope that you are good. I hope that everything is well with you. I am coming. Today is an amazing day. Today is the last day of September. And I believe that God has a great plan for the month of October. And I believe strongly that some of you are going through some tough seasons. Some of you have gone through question mark or seasons of question marks or season of like trials and tribulation. And this is a time that God is going to give you an encouraging word by allowing you to listen to a testimony that might sound like it's painful in the beginning, but I believe that at the end you are going to find something to hold on to know that you know what, if God gave a hope to this person to live, if God gave a hope for this person to be to trust again, to believe again, then it means that it's possible for you to also pick up your cross and forgive and move forward and be the best version of yourself. So without further ado, I'm going to bring the guests. I have Mr. Francois, who's going to be the translator and the interpreter, not the translator, the interpreter. So he's going to interpret the testimony in English. I am so glad I don't have to interpret. Thank you, Jesus. I thank you, Lord. And then we have Mr. It's not Mr. Omistas, it's Mr. Jean Baptiste, but he's using Mr. Omistas uh, um, account because of connection matters. But Mr. Jean Baptiste is the husband of a lady who actually asked for her to asked to share her testimony because she's still in process of healing, and she just believes that her husband will be best to be able to share the full story and allow you to walk the walk that she experienced. So Mr. Jean Baptiste would just share the that's not his testimony, but that's the story of his wife. So Mr. Francois, before we go to Mr. Jean Baptiste, Mr. Francois, can you please introduce yourself? And what you do, what you normally do, other than interpreting here, so that people get to know you and know who you are. Okay. Just a minute. Yes.
Ndabivuga mu Kinyarwanda ariko.
Nta kibazo, I will translate.
Sinzi niba Jean Baptiste azi Icyongereza.
Ngewe ndakivuga, I will translate interpreter mu Cyongereza, mushobora kuvuga mu Kinyarwanda, and then I will translate in English.
I can also do it in English, no problem.
Whichever you want.
So, my name is in Ntaganda Francois Xavier. I am retired from the University of Rwanda, where I was a lecturer. And for the time being, I have not much to do. And I was blessed when Hormisdas talked to me about your projects that I could help and even also help myself. So great. I'm happy to do in this business of yours to help as many people as possible.
Sorry, I had muted myself. So it's an answered prayer because I was looking for somebody who can help me translate and interpret the guest. So it was and having you as a retired person. So I'm like, thank you, Jesus. I know that
I have all the time.
I know, so that's why I'm like, thank you, Jesus. It's really truly humbling to know that at least God made sure that I have somebody and also for me, what I thank God about you. I know that you didn't talk about it, but you are a retired professor of the University of Rwanda, and
Exactly.
and actually you taught in the same university where my parents actually met and where my parents studied and graduated from. So it's also an honor that to have you on the platform. You are a professor from the university where my parents met, graduated there. So I just, it's an answered prayer basically. I could not have anyone better to interpret. So and I know you are very humble, so you didn't talk about your background, but yes, you are a retired professor, so you also going to bring your knowledge as a teacher and the history that you know of, so that it allow also some people that don't have the full story to be aware of it. So thank you so much, Mr. Francois. It's an honor to have you. I know you think you are helping me, but you are an answer to my prayer. So I honor you and I thank you to have you. The next person is
Great, Erin.
you're welcome. The next person is Mr. Jean Baptiste. He carries the same name as my father, so of course I will never forget him. So his name is Mr. Jean Baptiste, and he's going to be our main guest because he's going to be the one sharing the story
Of his wife.
for his wife from his wife. So Mr. Jean Baptiste, umwanya nuwanyu.
Comme François, je suis très honoré de participer à ce projet de recueil de témoignages pour les gens peut-être qui n'avaient jamais eu l'occasion de parler de leur expérience, surtout l'expérience du génocide. Je m'appelle, comme vous l'avez dit, Munyeragwe Jean Baptiste. Je suis psychologue et clinicien de formation, marié et père de 3 jeunes filles de nationalité rwandaise. Et le témoignage que je vais présenter a été
Sorry, Monsieur
recueilli.
Jean-Baptiste. Monsieur
Oui,
Jean-Baptiste, pouvez-vous faire parler doucement pour que Monsieur François traduise? Parce que c'est beaucoup
yeah,
et
yeah,
c'est très difficile pour lui de
yeah,
traduire.
yeah. OK, merci. Bon,
Derrière.
donc,
Oui,
So, attendez qu'il puisse traduire ce que vous venez de dire.
OK, merci, yeah.
Jean-Baptiste,
Oui,
mbere y'uko ntaraduhiza
hmm,
nagusaba yenda yuko wajya uvuga bikeya kuko
OK,
ntabwo ngifite maze kuba umusaza ntabwo ngishobora gufata ibintu mu mutwe uzajya
OK,
uvuga
yeah,
bikeya
OK,
naraduhize nk'igice
OK,
cya furaze nk'igice cya furaze
d'accord.
yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm honored to participate in this show to try to express what people felt in this issue of genocide. I'm called Jean Baptiste Munyeragwe, and I am a psychologist, and I am married, a wife with 3 children.
OK. Et de nationalité rwandaise, le
Yeah,
témoignage
I'm
que je vais
a Rwandan
présenter,
national.
OK. Le témoignage que je vais présenter a été accueilli auprès de mon épouse de 36 ans pendant plus de 15 ans de notre vie conjugale.
The testimony I'm going to present is my wife's, whom I have been living with for iyo myaka 36 ni iyihe
15. She's 36 old.
Okay. And so the story is hers, and she is 36 years old.
And they've
Okay.
been married for 15 years. So they've been married for 15 years,
Yes.
36.
Oui, yes.
Yeah. Wait,
Bon.
Monsieur Jean-Baptiste, yari afite
Oui.
imyaka 36 muri
No, now she's 36 years old.
Oh, okay. So his wife is 36 years old, but they've been married
Yes.
for 15 years. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Ok.
Yeah, carry on.
Ok.
Jya uvuga bike Jean Baptiste.
Oui, mais comme elle n'ose pas présenter elle-même ce message, nous nous sommes
As
convenus.
she does not want to give this message by herself.
Ok. Nous nous sommes convenus que je présenterai moi-même ce témoignage en son nom.
So we decided to let me present the message on her behalf.
Je vais présenter ce message en grande partie en Kinyarwanda, mais en partie aussi en français.
I present this message part in French, and another part in Kinyarwanda.
Je l'ai subdivisé en 6 parties ou 6 chapitres.
It is divided in 6 parts or chapters.
Et la première partie est l'enfance et l'expérience de la haine des Tutsis en famille.
The first chapter is childhood and the experience of hate in the family.
Ok. Et yavutse kuri se ari umututsi, nyina ari umuhutukazi.
She was born on a Tutsi father and a Hutu mother.
Ntibigeze babana kubera ingengabitekerezo ya sekuru ubyara nyina.
Subiramo.
Ntibigeze babana kubera ingengabitekerezo ya sekuru ubyara nyina.
Utarabanye na umugore wawe ni utarabanye na se?
Oya, se na nyina ntibigeze babana kubera ingengabitekerezo ya sekuru ubyara nyina.
Okay. So her parents never lived together because of her grandfather's on her mother's side ideology of genocide.
Okay. Nubwo bakundanaga, ise yari yararahiye ko adashobora gushyingira umututsi. Sekuru, je veux dire, sekuru.
Though they loved each other, the grandfather had said he would never give his daughter to a Tutsi.
Ariko ni mu gihe kuko sekuru yari yarabyirutse mu ngengabitekerezo ya Gitera Yosefu wari waranditse Les familles du commandement des Hutus.
So her grandfather had been nursed on Gitera's ideology, which produced the 10 Hutu commandments.
Experience ya mbere yagize yo urwango rw'abahutu ku batutsi.
Her first experience of Hutus' hate for Tutsis.
Nuko nyirakuru yaramutukaga ngo urakwaga umwuma abatutsi ndiko mwabaye.
Is that her grandmother used to insult her, how to say this, may you die of thirst, may you never had anything to drink to appease your thirst.
Yeah, it's like
abatutsi akongeraho ngo abatutsi ndiko mwabaye.
And she would be adding, this is the likes of you. That's how you are, you Tutsis.
Okay. Experience ya kabiri.
Her
nuko
second experience
umugore wa nyirarume yashatse kumurogera mu biryo
is that her uncle's wife once tried to poison her.
umwana arabyanga kuko mama we yari yaramubujije kurya mu gasozi,
And the child refused the food because her mother had instructed her not to eat from in other households.
ubwo uwo mugore aramukubita ararira cyane, abaturanyi barahurura.
That woman beat her and she cried, and the neighbors came to help.
Umugabo we nawe ahurura muri bo, umugabo w'uwo mugore donc nyirarume,
and her uncle was part of those who came to help the little girl.
bagerageza gukemura icyo kibazo mu muryango nyine.
They tried to solve the issue in the family.
Experience ya gatatu,
the third experience,
icyo gihe yagiye mu rugo akajya ajyana kuvoma n'abandi bana no gutashya nta kibazo bafitanye.
She used to go to fetch water and fire food with the neighborhood other children, and there was no problem.
Ikibazo experience ya gatatu yabaye igihe yari avuye kuvoma.
But once when she came from, she was on her way from the place to draw water from.
Nyirarume yamunyuzeho afashe uwari umukozi wabo wasaga inkwi, amufashe ku rutugu, n'undi wari umwarimu mu ishuri ry'imyuga.
Her uncle came about with some other child who was bearing, was firewood. Undi ninde?
Uwo nguwo nyine yari kumwe n'undi mwarimu wigishaga mu ishuri ry'imyuga, bamufashe ku rutugu.
There was also a teacher who taught at wait.
They were holding. It's like they were. But like they were trying to like they were holding the child, and basically it was like they wanted to hurt the child.
Bamugejeje ku irembo, okay, bamugejeje ku irembo ry'uwo musore wabasirizaga inkwi.
So when they got at the gate of the young man who was to cut the wood for them.
Yeah.
Nyirarume yamukubise umutego, yitura hasi.
Her uncle brought her down.
Like hit her down.
Yeah.
Hanyuma bamuhondagura nta mpongano, arapfa bamutaho ngaho.
And they beat her up with a club with nails in it. Yeah,
it's like they beat. It's like isn't it like a wood that has like nails on it?
With nails.
So it was like a wooden stick with nails in it, and they hit that child, and they killed the child, and they dropped the bodies on the side.
Exactly. Ubwo bamusize aho ngaho ku icukiro ry'amase, hari imirambo ya nyina na se na mushiki we, bari bamaze kwica bagerekaho amakoma y'isi.
mbere ya 1994, right?
No, in 1994.
Okay. So this event happened in 1994 when
Yes, exactly.
they hit the child and the mother and the family, and they dropped their body on the side.
Yeah. Ubwo nagize ubwoba bwinshi cyane, ndataha njya mu rugo mbibwira mama.
So I was afraid. So I went back home and told my mommy.
Hashize iminsi mike,
A few days later,
kuko jenoside yari yaratangiye,
as the genocide had started,
ba marume batatu na sogokuru bari baragiye muri jenoside yo kwica abantu.
my 3 uncles and their father had gone to participate in the killing people.
Umunsi umwe uwo marume wishe wa musore aza mu rugo.
One day, my uncle who killed the young man came home.
Amfata ukuboko.
He took me by the arm.
Hanyuma mama ahita ahinguka aho ngaho aramubaza ati urashaka iki k'uwo mwana?
Fortunately, my mother came suddenly and asked, "What do you want with the child?"
Numvise ko kubera ko nawe yari umwicanyi yashakaga kumwica cyangwa akanshyira abandi bakanyica.
From my understanding, he was going to kill me or bring me to other killers.
Guhera uwo munsi mama na marume umuhererezi barandindaga mu rugo cyane.
My mom and her youngest sibling used to protect me at home.
Ubwo nkajya nguma mu rugo, nkajya ndebera ibintu byo hanze mu ruzitiro.
Then I would stay home and look at what was happening through the fence.
Ibyo nibyo izo experience nagize ko ari enye mu buto bwanjye mu muryango wa mama.
These are the experience I suffered as a child in my mother's family.
Bigeze mu kwezi kwa karindwi mu matariki ya mbere.
When in July, in the first days of July,
ubwo nareberaga mu ruzitiro mbona abasirikare bahita imbere y'iwacu.
As I could see through the fence, I saw government military passing by in front of our house, our compound.
Ntabwo turimo kubumva, Monsieur Jean Baptiste. Mushireho
nawe sinkubona ariko
écouteur. Yes, I'm coming.
nawe ntabwo nyikuruzi.
Sorry, Nari, I was fixing something. I was just fixing something.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Jean Baptiste ntabwo mwumva.
Jean Baptiste ntabwo turimo kubumva.
Yeah.
Mushireho écouteur zanyu, musubizeho écouteur zanyu. Cyangwa mukureho écouteur within the two. Ntabwo turimo kubumva. Murebe kuri telefone, I think it's it's not connected. Ekuteri zanyu na telefone ntabwo ziri connected. Ntabwo turimo kubumva. No. Mushireho ekuteri zanyu cyangwa muzikuremo. Or Miss Das, can you help? Mukureho, so remove the oh God, he can't hear us. Remove the headphones from the phone. No, we can't hear you. Put back the headphones.
nareba uko abwira aho Miss Das amufashe.
Hello, I'm trying to call because I can't call. They are using Miss Dash phone, so I'm going to try to. I'm sorry, guys. We're having issues. Or Miss Dash, can you hear us? Mukureho ekuteri cyangwa muzishireho together. Can you hear us? Ntabwo turimo kubumva. I wish somebody was living close to
Ntabwo tubumva Jean Baptiste.
ashobora kugenda kubabwira ko ntabwo turimo kubumva. We can't hear them. I think yakuyeho ekuteri. Mr. Francois, mufite numero ya Jean Baptiste, ya Monsieur Jean Baptiste. Mushobora kumuhamagara, mumuhamagare mumubwire bakureho ekuteri kuri nuza kuri telefone ya Miss Das avuge sans écouteur.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry guys. It's crazy, but we have to do this. It's technology. I wish we could do this, but for those who are joining us right now, Mr. Jean Baptiste, I think, removed his headphones by mistake, so we can't hear him. There's no sound coming towards us. So Mr. Francois is helping by calling him to find out what's happening, and then once that happens, we are going to do. But before they come, I just want to resume it for those who maybe are joining us. We are listening to a testimony of a woman, but her husband is the one sharing the story because she's still healing and she doesn't have the strength to share her testimony. So her background is similar to mine. Her mother was Hutu and her father was Tutsi. And they, from the time they conceived her, they couldn't even live together. Though they loved each other, they couldn't live together because the grandmother, the mother's mother, did not want to hand her daughter to a Tutsi person. So they were already the genealogy, the ideology of the Hutus 10 Commandments that were actually affecting the parents, her family on her mother's side. So she grew up without a father. She grew up in her mother's side of the family, and then she also she divided her story into 6 chapters of like how she was born, how she grew up in like a place where they considered her as a Tutsi, and her grandmother used to even curse her, and she would say that she would die thirsty, that you Tutsi people, that's how you are all going to die. So she grew up with that hatred around her. Then in 1994, she witnessed her uncle actually killing a family, and I cannot even describe what she saw because it's traumatizing and terrifying. And then And she's sharing about even one day her uncle came to the house to actually take the same person who killed those people. He came to the house and he held her hand and he was gonna take her to be killed. But then her mother was like, "Why are you taking my son, my daughter? Well, why are you taking?" And then she refused to let go of her, and that's how she survived. And so the next part, they're going to share more in depth. Oh, there they are. Thank you, Jesus. I think now it's gonna work. Hello, Monsieur Jean Baptiste. Okay. Yes, turabumva ariko ndimo kubona umukobwa wanyu. Yes, okay. Yeah, perfect. Turimo kubabona noneho.
Okay. Bo, ndumva nasubiramo mu magambo make ibyo nari mvuze kuri iyo party ya mbere.
Jean Baptiste. Aho duheruka ukumva ni hariya waravuze ngo mu matariki ya mbere y'ukwezi kwa karindwi.
Yeah.
Ibindi byose kuri ibyo ntabwo twabyumvise.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Mu matariki ya mbere y'ukwezi kwa karindwi narebeye mu
first day of July.
Yes, narebeye mu ruzitiro.
I could see through the fence.
Nabonye abasirikari benshi batambuka.
Government military passing by.
Ari inkotanyi ahubwo.
And I definitely found out that they were RPF soldiers.
Ubwo bahise bavuga bati duhunge inkotanyi zateye.
So they said, I mean, my family said that they should run away as the RPF soldiers are already on the ground.
Bo twahise duhunga tujya muri zone turquoise.
We fled to turquoise
zone.
The turquoise zone, right?
Ubwo duhungira mu ishuri, umuryango wanjye dufata icyumba mu ishuri.
So my family and myself were happy fortunate enough to find a room in a school.
Ubwo bakagenda bareba abantu ngo basa n'abatutsi bakabica bakajya bafata imirambo bakajugunya mu murima.
So they would go around trying to look for people looking like a Tutsis. They would kill them and then throw them in the bush or in the outside in the farm.
Okay, so before we continue, ni bande babikoraga ni
abantu twahunganye barebaga mu bantu twabaga turi kumwe ngo basa n'abatutsi bakabaroba bakabica ngo ni inyenzi zabihishemo.
Aho mwahunganye nibo
bicanaga hagati yabo ngo barebe umuntu usa n'umututsi ngo ni inyenzi zabihishemo.
Okay, Mr. Francois, can I translate that part? I want to translate that part.
Please do.
This part. So on July 1st, she said she was looking at the window. This is the testimony of his wife. He's talking as his wife. So she was looking at the window and then she saw some soldiers that she later found out that those soldiers she saw were the soldiers of the Rwandan Patriotic Front. So because she was in her family on her mother's side, some of them had killed people, so they decided to run away to go to the French camp. That French camp was called a turquoise zone. It was a turquoise zone, and on their way there were people that were also running towards them. But in that group, there were some Tutsis and they were Hutus, but there were some Tutsis. And when they identify any Tutsi person that were running with them to hide, they will kill those people and they will throw those bodies in the river. So they were actually now killing. They were on their way to run from the RPF army, they were also killing the Tutsis that were running with them.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ubwo
Yeah,
ntabwo bicaga abatutsi, bicaga abantu babona muri bo basa n'abatutsi. Banyumva?
No, connection
Okay, mu bantu twahunganye barebagamo abantu basa n'abatutsi bakabica ngo ni inyenzi zabihushyemo.
So her families, members of her family would select some people within the group who fled with them, and they would kill them because they were Tutsis.
So these are her family members, the family members, uncles, who look around and see if there are any Tutsis, and they will kill those Tutsis, saying that there are some cockroaches that are following them. I want the auditors to picture that. Like this little girl was walking with the killers because her own family were killing the people, the Tutsis that were running with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ubwo kubera ko inkotanyi zagendaga zisatira Gikongoro,
as the RPF soldiers were nearing Gikongoro,
ubwo abantu twarongeye turahunga.
So we continue to run on to ahead.
Ariko nubwo twahungaga, mama na marume w'umuhererezi barancungaga cyane.
But my mother and her younger sibling were very, very much protecting me.
Ubwo tugeze ahantu twumva radio RTM, Kantano avuga ngo mwitonde abahutu beza nabo muri kubica, mwitonde abahutu beza nabo muri kubica.
Then we arrived at her place and we heard RTM radio with Kantano's voice saying,
"Hello, journaliste Kantano, radio RTM."
Yeah, and Kantano saying, Kantano was the star speaker at RTM. Yeah, warning the Hutus, please don't, you are starting killing your own people.
Okay, ubwo byatanze agahenge ntibica abantu benshi bakajya bica umwe.
So with this, a kind of peace was settled, and they would only kill the people one by one, but not in mass killings.
Ubwo inkotanyi ko zagendaga zisatira muri zone turikwaze, twakomezaga duhunga tugana icyangugu.
As the Inkotanyi were approaching, we would go on further and further toward the Cyangugu.
Zimaze gufata Cyangugu twahungiye i Bukavu.
And when the Inkotanyi took up Cyangugu, we ran to Bukavu. Bukavu is in the DRC.
Bukavu muri Congo. Tugeze aho nabwo bagendaga barobamo abantu bakabica.
In Bukavu, they continued to select a number of people whom they killed.
Again, I want to emphasize when she said they, she's mentioning her uncles, the people that they were running from the RPF. So those are the people that were selecting in the group and killing more Tutsis as they were going, and they were doing it slowly and slowly. After they got the message from RTLM, the radio of the radio that was spreading and encouraging people to kill Hutus to kill Tutsis. They decided to kill slowly, and even when they got to Congo, they kept on killing, but slowly and slowly.
A moment.
Okay.
So, do you want me also to make a comment to explain to those who do not know?
Yes,
because the job I was now doing so far was to try to speak in her voice. to speak her own words without adding comments.
Yes.
Do you want me to add my own comments?
Can you? Yes. Can you? Because it's important for
Okay.
people to understand as we go. Because it's
Okay.
yes, we are sharing the story, but I want people,
ni ukuvuga
especially
ngo
most
tugeze
of my audition, most of my people that are viewing are American. I have many people that don't have any background of the history of Rwanda. It's important for them to understand why did why were they killing? What is RTLM? What is that radio about? Because many people don't know this story. So can you please explain why did they listen, why did they change from the time they heard the information of in RTLM? Why did they change and they decided to now kill slowly?
Okay. So RTM was a radio which was encouraging killings throughout Rwanda, and if so many people died, is because they would tell RTM would say, so and so is still alive, fetch him out. And so it was a terrible story with this radio, and this is how with this little girl, RPM also worked to make people, tell people kill more or less when they want them. Now you are starting killing your people. Stop it.
So basically, they were so RTLM was like the guide. It was like a guide for the killers to know what to do, who to kill, who's left to kill, where is so they were you can see they were the
Right.
guide. Yeah, so thank you,
Right.
because I want you to comment and give more story along the way, because it's important. Most of my viewers are not Rwandan. They are American or European and all that. They need to know as we go the history and the story. So once we mention something, I encourage you to please. That's why I'm so grateful that you are interpreting this, because you have the history. You know the history of Rwanda. So it's not just gonna be interpreting, but it's gonna also be able to give the history behind that. So yeah, so they went to Bukavu, which is in Congo Republic, right?
Yeah, Bukavu is next to the region where they had fled, is next to Cyangugu.
Okay.
So it is the nearest town to Rwanda, or to the southern part.
Okay, so even as they crossed the border and they went, they were still killing Tutsis that were among them.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I want to emphasize on.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
so carry on. Mukurikire
Okay.
message. Yeah.
Okay, ubwo tugeze Bukavu bakomeje kujya interahamwe zakomeje kujya zirobamwe abantu basa n'abatutsi bavuga ngo ni inyenzi zabihishemo akabica.
So once in Bukavu, the interahamwe killers continued to select a few people who looked like Tutsi, and they would kill them. The interahamwe, of course, was the militia, which was trained by the government to exterminate the Tutsi.
Okay, ONG yakoraga muri iyo nkambi y'Bukavu yatanze warning ivuga ko nibongera kwica abantu batazagaruka.
So one NGO working in that Bukavu camp gave a warning that if the Interahamwe and the other killers went on killing people, they would not give more help, more assistance to the refugees, of course, because the camp was big with refugees from Rwanda, so who were in fact very much welcomed by many international organizations, and would help them as if they were their own. So the warning was, please stop the killings or we stop the assistance.
ubwo uko Bukavu twumvaga amasasu avugira icyangugu twangeye turahunga tujya ahitwa Inera.
So from Bukavu, we would hear gunshots from the other side on Rwandan territory, and then we moved further into the interior of the DRC.
Twagiye ahantu hitwa Inera.
They went to a place, a town called Inera.
Yeah,
Yes,
they went to a
exactly.
place called Inera. Inera is a kind of scientific research station.
Tugeze ubwo twahamaze nk'imyaka 2.
And we spent 3 years there.
2 years.
Tugeze Okay, mama yakoraga muri centre de santé kuko yari umuganga.
My mother was a nurse, and she then got a job in a dispensary, a health facility.
A center, like a health center in Inera.
Yeah.
Okay. Nkuko babahembaga amafaranga mu madolari.
As they were being paid in dollars,
yafataga amadolari akayahambira muri za epolete no muri poignets z'ijakete nari nambaye.
She would hide the dollars in the outfit, in his jackets, or in her, I don't know.
Like, so she would hide
Okay.
in her clothes.
Yeah, in her clothes.
Yeah.
Okay, ndakeka ko yahishagamo ko yatekerezaga ko wenda un jour ou l'autre tutazaba turi kumwe.
My suspicion was that she was trying to hide it in my clothes, because she imagined that one day we want to be together. So the mother said that imagine that one day they would not be together, they would be separated. Either one of them would be dying, and then each would have a few dollars on him or on her. Yeah,
that's a good mom.
A good strategy.
Nubwo baticaga abantu, nyogokuru wanjye ubyara mama yakomeje kuntoteza.
So even though they were not killing people anymore, my grandmother on my mother's side went on persecuting me.
Agakomeza kuntuka ngo ndakagumwuma abatutsi nuko mwabaye.
And she continued to abuse me, saying that may you die of thirst. That's how you Tutsi were created. When I talk in the first voice, I or me, I'm trying to impersonate the little girl, his wife, whose testimony we are hearing.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, it's
Okay. Bo akongeraho ngo ni jewe icyana cy'ikinyenda rero twabateye umwako.
Will you say it again?
She said
Jean Baptiste.
the grandmother
Bo yongeragaho ngo kuko ndi icyana cy'inyendaro ngo kandi cy'abatutsi ni gihe wabateye umwako.
So the grandmother would add that she is a natural child, a Tutsi natural child, and that all the misfortune was to be taken. I was responsible for the misfortune. That in some way I was a kind of misfortune bringer. That I brought my misfortune on my mother's family. So I'm bad. That's what it means. I'm bad. I bring misfortune on my own people.
Okay. Chapitre ya kabiri nise exil et séjour dans les camps de réfugiés bikaba irangiriye aho ngaho. Iya gatatu ikaba itangiye yitwa l'errance dans la forêt équatoriale du Congo.
So the first chapter, the second chapter
No,
ended there.
third.
Huh?
So right now he's going. So the first chapter was her experience as a child in childhood and during the genocide from April to July when they moved to Congo. Now she's going to share her experience in the forest of Congo, the Congo forest.
Yeah.
Okay. Donc, chapitre ya kabiri yari exil et séjour dans des camps de réfugiés.
So, my bad. So the first chapter was her childhood until April, and then the second chapter was the exile from Rwanda.
Yes.
They ran away from Rwanda in July 1994 to Congo. Then now the third chapter is her experience.
L'errance dans la forêt. L'errance dans la forêt équatoriale du Congo.
The running away throughout the Congo forest.
Yes, her runaway story in the Congo forest.
Right.
Okay. Ubwo iya gatatu yatangiranye na rebellion ya Kabila Père.
The chapter started with the rebellion hosted by Kabila.
The president, the former president
the first Kabila, who is the father of the other one.
Yes. He was the former president, right? So he's the father of the president or the former president?
Yeah, he's the father of the president.
The father of the president. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So it started with the rebellion of the first Kabila, the senior.
Yeah.
Kabila senior.
Yeah, the Kabila senior, yeah.
Okay.
Ubwo twumvise amasasu naho navuga duhungira mu ishyamba.
So we heard gunshots and we ran into the forest.
Mu ishyamba kubera hari ishyamba ry'inzitane abantu bagendaga babyigana bamwe bagapfa.
The forest was so thick, a number of people died.
Tukagenda dusimbuka imirambo hamwe n'umuryango wanjye. Ariko tugezeho turaburana.
At a time, we lost each other.
Ubwo nasigaranye n'umuryango w'umugore n'umugabo n'umwana umwe bari inshuti zacu.
I married in the family of one man, his wife, and their children, who used to be our friends.
Yajyaga akunda kuza iwacu kuko yaba muri secte y'abarungi.
He used to come home as he was yari secte y'amasengesho.
Yes.
Since he used to belong to a religious sect, so they used to pray together.
So her family and that family were in the same
they're in the same religious praying group.
Okay. Ubu twakomeje kugenda mu mashyamba uko twumvise amasasu avuga tukajya kure.
So we continue to run into the forest. Since as we heard any gunshots, we would go further and further and further.
Bigera igihe uwo muryango umbwira yuko mama na marume mutoya wabandindaga bapfuye barashwe.
At a time, this hosting family told me that my mother and her youngest sibling had been killed by gunshot.
Iyo umuntu yapfaga rero bafataga ibiti, amashami y'ibiti bagafata utuntu bakajugunya hejuru bakigendera.
And when someone died, he would not be buried. They would only throw a few branches and the grass over his body, and they would just go on.
ubwo twakomeje kugenda mu ishyamba noneho umunsi umwe tugera mu baturage.
So we went on running away in the forest, and at a time we arrived at a village. To get a village, abo wise abaturage.
Okay, baratubwira ngo baratwica cyangwa dutanga amafaranga.
They threatened us with killing and asked for money to buy ourselves.
They told them, so they told her and that family, they said that if they don't pay, they were going to kill them.
Right.
Yeah.
Nibwo noneho nasohoye ya mafaranga mama yari yarashyize muri epolete zanjye muri za poanye, turayabaha baratureka turagenda.
So then the money my mom had hidden in my jacket, so I took it off and we paid for our lives and we went on. They let us continue.
Turakomeza mu mashyamba dusimbuka imirambo, tugenda mu migezi, mu mazi.
All the way in the forest, we would be meeting dead bodies.
Tugera aho noneho duhinguka mu muhanda wa kaburimbo.
And once we emerged on a tarmac road,
uwo muhanda waganaga Ikisangani.
Going to Kisangani. Kisangani is the third biggest city in the DRC to the northeast.
Tuhageze tuhasanga abasirikari ba Kabila.
And there we found Kabila's soldiers.
Bafata uwo mugabo baravuga ngo ni umusirikari, bamwambura bazamura ipantaro ngo barebe ko yambaye amasogisi ya gisirikare n'inkweto za gisirikare.
So the head of the family who was protecting me was arrested by Kabila soldiers, pretending that he was a soldier, and then they undressed him, searching for weapons.
Bo babonye atari umusirikari baramuhondagura cyane.
Finally, they found out that he was not a soldier, but they beat him up. Anyway.
Ubwo nararize cyane cyane rwose ndarira.
So I cried very, very, very much.
Barangije baramureka baramubwira bati uwo mwana napfa tuzakwica noneho.
So they let him alone and told him, if the child happens to die, you will see what will happen to you.
Okay, ubwo twakomeje mu mashyamba.
So we went on running away in the forest.
Tuza guhinguka Igisangani muri HCR.
And emerged in a HCR Kisangani.
Tugezeyo muri
HCR is the UN organization to help refugees.
Ubwo baratwakiriye tumarayo igihe gitoya.
They welcomed us and we spent some time there.
Barangije tugarura mu Rwanda.
Later they brought us back to Rwanda.
Ubwo nkaba nangiye igice cya kane kitwa le retour au Rwanda et le séjour dans des centres d'accueil et de nombreuses familles.
And here I started the chapter number 4, which is our return to Rwanda and our lives in the refugee camps. Right, Nibyo?
Oui, des centres d'accueil et de familles nombreuses.
And our life in the welcoming centers
Yeah.
with so many families. So meaning
Yeah.
that the centers were crowded
Yeah.
with
Okay.
yeah.
Ubwo hari famille eshanu nshaka kuvuga.
So here I would like to insist on 5 families.
Okay. Nabanje kureba muri ya famille twavanye I Congo.
First, I lived in the family which had protected me all along in the Congo.
Kuko uwo mugabo yari interahamwe.
As the head of the family which protected me was a killer, an interahamwe militia.
Yeah,
Nyuma
the
y'iminsi ibiri
person,
baje
wait, wa wundi bakubise baramubwira ngo uwo mwana apfuye.
Umwana napfa.
Oh, yari
Exactly.
interahamwe.
Yari interahamwe.
Oh, okay. So guys, I'm sorry, we have to highlight that part. The man, remember the man and his wife and the children that became like the family of his wife, the one that was beaten, and then the soldier were like, if this little girl dies, we are going to kill you. He was a killer. He was a genocidal perpetrator who was running for his life. So it's important to highlight that because I didn't know. I was like, oh my God. So he was actually running away from facing the oh
Yeah, so but Jean Baptiste, yeah, Jean Baptiste had never said this. This is the first time Jean Baptiste tells us that he was an interahamwe.
Okay.
Ubwo so yari interahamwe. Uwo muntu yari
yes.
Yes. Muri ICN, so United Nations of the headquarters of refugees. Noneho bamusubiza mu Rwanda.
Yes.
Oh my God! So we have to translate it. So this person was actually a genocide perpetrator who ran away from Rwanda. Then he met the family of this little girl, his wife. Then they ran away together. He became his father figure. Then they found themselves in the refugee camp. The United Nations had the refugee camp, and the department is called UNHCR. It's the United Nations headquarters of refugees. So after they stayed for a while, they were taken back to Rwanda. But now this guy was a genocide perpetrator. He was not just a refugee. He was running away in Congo because he had killed people in Rwanda, but now he's back in Rwanda and he's a genocide perpetrator. So it's important to mention that because I was like,
yeah. So definitely, Kabila's soldier and Isangani had a good reason to suspect him.
Yeah. So they actually suspected him, but because she cried, they didn't kill him because she cried because she had started looking at him as his father. Now remember, he was not raised by her father because her father and her mother were not allowed to, they didn't live together. So she saw this person as a father figure, and this person was being beaten. So she cried out, and then the soldier had compassion on this little girl, and they told him, if this child dies, we are going to kill you. Meaning they knew that he could kill her. Oh my God.
Exactly.
Jesus.
Exactly.
This is twisted. This is crazy. It's like my story when I was living with my uncle who killed my dad. This is exactly similar. Like it's crazy. Yarariraga umuntu wishe abantu atazi ko uwo muntu nawe ni interahamwe.
Ari umwicanyi.
Okay. Ubwo tugeze mu rugo iwabo nyuma y'iminsi ibiri baramufata bajya kumufunga.
So when we arrived in his home, he was arrested and sent to jail.
Ubwo natangiye inzira y'umusaraba.
So I started my difficult journey.
Ubwo bamaze kunyondora gato, yamaze gutora imbaraga.
And after I had been treated well and was recovering from all those Congolese forest misfortunes,
ubwo bajyaga bankorera indobo y'ibiryo bishyushye nkashyiraho ingata nkamugemurira nkagenda amasaha 4-5.
oh my God. So I used to bring food to him in where he was jailed, and they would put a lot of food in a lot of hot food in a bucket, which they would put on my head. And
For 5 hours, you have to mention the time that she was walking to the prison. She would
Right.
walk with heavy, like with hot food on her head for 5 hours to
For
go
5
feed
hours.
that man. Jesus.
ubwo nashyiragaho ingata nkikorera nkagenda amasaha 4-5 nkagaruka amasaha 3-4.
So I would take that food to the prisoner, and I would make about 6 to 7 hours both ways.
ubwo ndavuga ko nagendaga amasaha 4-5 kugenda nkafata 3-4 kugaruka.
Okay, sorry. So it would take me 4 to 5 hours on my way to prison, and then maybe 3 or 4 on my return home.
So basically, like an average of 8 hours, but like a round trip of 8 hours. So she will walk
Yeah.
4 to 5 hours on her going, and then of course, because it took her longer to get there because she had like
Because she
hot
was young,
food.
it was
She was
heavier.
carrying hot food. Then on her way back, it was quicker because she didn't have the food, and she would
Right.
do 3 to 4 hours. So like an
Yeah.
average of 8 hours for a round trip.
Okay.
Every
icyo
day.
gihe yari afite imyaka 12-13.
She
Arakubajije
had
ngo
almost
ibyo
12
yabigiraga buri munsi.
yabikoze
yagemuraga buri
hafi
munsi.
umwaka wose, buri munsi
munsi.
akabikora hafi umwaka
Buri
wose,
She
buri
did,
munsi
she did
buri
this
munsi.
work every day, and she was 12 years for a whole year.
Yes.
So from 12 to 13, she did it every day. She worked 8 hours every day to feed this person.
For 12 years.
Wait,
Wow.
for 12 years? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
12.
yafite imyaka 12-13.
Imyaka 12. She was 12.
Ah, uwo mukobwa.
Yes.
Okay.
That was
yari afite imyaka
So
12-13.
she was a
between
child of
13
12
and 14.
only.
She did it
Yes.
for a year. She did it
ubwo
for a year. Back at home.
agezeho nyuma hafi umwaka arababwira ati ndashaka gutaha iwacu.
After a year, she said that she would like to go back home.
Ikintu cyamubabazaga cyane nuko yagemuriraga interahamwe, yagerayo akumva urusaku rwazo, akumva yakutse umutima.
The one thing which made her very, very sad is that she was bringing food to militia, to kill militias, and hear about the noise in the whatever in the prison.
Mukuru w'uwo mugabo yaranyumvise.
The gentleman's bigger brother heard me.
Anjyana ku igare muri HCR mu birometero 13.
And he took me on a bicycle to the UNHCR camp, about 30 kilometers away.
Ubwo ngeze muri HCR,
when I arrived there at UNHCR,
ubwo abacengezi bari barateye tubura inzira yo kutujyana i Kigali.
The infiltrator rebellion had started attacking Rwanda and we're about to reach Kigali.
nyuma ya ariko mu minsi mike twabonye uburyo turagenda tujya Kigali turuhukira muri SOS Kacyiru.
But in a few days later, we were able to reach Kigali, and we hosted at SOS Kacyiru. SOS is a center which would welcome, even today, it is a center which welcomes orphan children. But during the genocide, it would even welcome all suffering people, younger and older ones.
Ubwo nangiye umuryango wa kabiri.
So this way I started my second family. By family, I mean in quotes, because she had lost her primary, her real family in the Congo forest. She was protected by an Interahamwe, the one she used to bring food to in the prison. And now she has another family, which is SOS, the center.
Okay, ngeze muri SOS abamama barera abana barankunze cyane n'abana bagenzi banjye barankunda ndaryama ndasinzira.
Once at SOS, they were very, very good mothers who loved me, who did everything to make me happy. And they were children my age, and I started to really feel good and maybe get some sleep.
Uwo mwaka batujyanye kwiga muri Sainte Famille bakadutwara mu gitondo saa 6 nimugoroba.
That very year they had us, they took us to school, and they would be taking us morning and afternoon.
Batujyanaga mu ishuri rya Sainte Famille.
Babatwaraga mu modoka?
Yes.
Yeah.
So she didn't have to walk anymore, like 10 hours to go. Mr. It's important to highlight what kind of
Nabagaho nishimye cyane.
Transportation. By the way, she was not going she was not walking to school. Now this time they were driving her to school. I was saying she didn't have to walk for hours, like she was walking to feed those people.
So it's a different story now.
She's in heaven. She sleeps and then
She's in heaven.
He's taken to school in the car.
Ubwo nyuma y'umwaka barabuze bati ubwo muri vacancy abana babajyane muri region y'iwabo.
A year later, the Senate said that all children would go to vacation in their own native region.
Ubwo umuryango wa gatatu nagitwagiye muri concerne i Butare.
Ubwo nuwakana ahubwo.
Nuwakana, yeah, I was about to say nuwakana.
Yeah, yes.
So by the time I started living within my family number 4.
Okay, tugeze muri concerne twahamaze
which was called concern. Concern was I think a British NGO which was catering for orphans.
Also, it was like an orphanage.
Yeah, it was not just that. I think they did more, but they also welcomed orphans.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but happened that the activities were much wider, much broader.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ubwo tugeze muri ONG twahabaga turi abana abahutu b'abatutsi.
So when we got at the NGO, we were mixed children, Hutus and Tutsis.
Abana benshi b'abahutu bari baravuye muri ya nkambi ya Kibeho igihe bayisenyaga.
Many Hutu children had come from the Kibeho camp when it was destroyed. The Kibeho camp, maybe I should make a comment. The Kibeho camp was a very, very, very big Hutu camp, which Kibeho is in the turquoise zone, and it was in fact the very last point, because after that there was the Nyungwe forest, and which was certainly guarded by RPF soldiers. And in this very, very, very big Kibeho camp, there were killings went on, and they would even get out of the camp to perpetrate killings outside in a way. And so definitely
this was after 1990. Was this after July 1994 that they were still doing that, or it was before?
It was after. The camp was a kind of aftermath of the genocide.
So even in the camp, they were still killing afterwards. They were still going out and killing and coming back in the camp.
Exactly. And they had a lot of support from Western powers and NGOs, but in the end, definitely, the RPF said, the government said that they would destroy the camp, and this is what they did. And this, of course, launched a lot of criticism from the West, but still, the government decided to destroy the camp. And
okay,
there was
can you please rewind, because I don't think I got it. So let me try to say it and then you tell me if I'm right. So
yeah.
the Kibeho camp was created after the RPF stopped the genocide in July 1994.
No. You see, the turquoise, one of the turquoise missions was to protect the Hutu, the perpetrators of genocide who were running away from the RPF.
Oh, okay. So is the turquoise zone, was it the one that was instilled in 1990 when the Hutu government said that the RPF was coming to cause war in Rwanda, right?
Yeah. The turquoise zone, when it comes to many Hutus running away from the refugees, from the RPF. And there were so many camps. And one of the camps which resisted, which was not destroyed, was the Kibeho camp. This is only. This is
so
only
basically, after the genocide, there were Hutus that were running, saying that they were running from the
RPF.
The RPF, and they were going to those camps to hide, but yet they were genocide perpetrators. So even though they were in that camp, they were still killing people outside, and they were hiding in those camps.
That's right.
How long did those camps stay? How long did the camps stay?
I think it lasted until maybe Jean Baptiste. Iriya kambi y'Ikibeho ntabwo yageze nko muri 1996 na 7.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
So
they were still killing people in those camps until 1997.
Yes.
Ubwo bahunga niho abana babo bagiye batakara, concerne ikajya barekipera.
So as these Hutu militia ran away from the RPF, they were separated accidentally from their children, which were then recuperated by Concern, the NGO he was talking about.
abo bana rero konserne yabafashe leta imaze gusenya iyo kampi y'interahamwe y'ikibeho.
So most of the children were welcomed by concerned NGO after the RPF had destroyed the Kibeho camp.
Dismantled, not destroyed. Dismantled. It's different. Destroy baravuga ngo babishe bose barabarangira. Ariko dismantle is like completely like stopping the camp to happen. Yeah, so the camp was dismantled. So after the government realized that the camp was actually a camp of killers, of genocide perpetrators that were hiding in that place and still committing genocide killings, they dismantled the camp. They did not kill them, they just dismantled the camp.
And I think the very, very last thing which had RPF dismantled the camp is that they also started shooting at RPF soldiers who were guarding the camp.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm confused. So these refugee people still had guns in a refugee camp?
Oh, yes. They had guns.
How
they
is
were
that
armed.
possible if you are running for your life and then you get as a I mean, I was a refugee. I found myself in a Ugandan refugee. My little memory as a refugee person, I remember the only people that I remember having guns were the people in the uniform, were the soldiers. But I don't understand how a refugee person can still have a gun from 1994 to 1997. Why are they using guns if they are protected under the
But remember, Aline, they were in the turquoise zone. In the turquoise zone, when it comes armed militia and armed soldiers, government soldiers, so they would,
no, I get it, I understand.
Actually, this.
I still cannot I can't, like, I'm trying to think about the French government. What were they thinking when they were actually doing that? Like, are they protecting, who are they protecting? What were they protecting? Were they protecting the militias?
Yeah,
or were
sure.
they protecting the country?
No. The French were protected. The turquoise operation was meant to protect the Interahamwe, the government soldiers, the killers. This is how they even helped them cross to the Congo. Yeah, this is how the turquoise was meant.
My God, and somebody told me that maybe one of the reasons why I was saved was from a soldier from the turquoise army. But my question, like, I still feel like it just doesn't make sense that they kept these people actually they were in Rwanda in 1990. So from 1990 to 1997, these French people were still there.
No.
From 1994, when did they come? When did they send the turquoise army?
If you see, the turquoise is to the south, and it involved essentially three big regions, which were used to be called prefecture. That was Kibuye, Gikongoro, and Cyangugu.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, which was a zone protected by, which were occupied, actually militarily occupied by the French, to protect the government killers.
When did they come? When did they put their camp there? When did they get to, like, position their camp in that area?
The camp started in 1994. Okay.
Oh, so during the genocide.
Yeah. In they were running away from the RPF soldiers and they went to
I
the.
have a question. So
Yeah.
So on October 1st, 1990, there was an event that they said that the RPF was trying to fight the Hutu government, right? And then the Hutu administration or under Habyarimana asked for help to the French. Did they send an army in the? Did they send? Mr. or Misters? Can you help us?
Yes.
The French army that was on soil in 1990.
Non.
Yeah.
Aline, ça c'est pour 94 et après, ce n'est pas 90.
Oh, so it's a different army. Oh, my
Yeah.
bad. So this army,
Yeah.
so the turquoise army was a special army that was coming for a special mission, which started in 1994. My bad. So apologies, because I know the French people were there before 1994. So this was a different kind of army, and these people were armed, right? Arms ready to fight the RPF, right?
Yes.
Of course.
Urumva bamaze gutsindwa, ingabo za Habyarimana zimaze gutsindwa na FPR. Baragiye bajya muri Turquoise, ni naho nyuma havutse iyo nkambi y'Ikibeho, ariko ni après 94.
Oh, okay. So after they lost the fight with the RPF, when the RPF took over after after July 1994, the Hutu, the Rwandan army, the killer, the Hutu, the perpetrator, the genocide perpetrator, ran to the turquoise zone to hide.
Yes.
Okay. Now I understand, because I didn't get it.
Under French protection. Under French protection.
Okay,
yes,
so that's
exactly.
when they went and they hid as refugees, and they were under French protection, hiding from the RPF army.
Exactly.
Okay, it makes sense. Thank you.
Okay.
Carry on.
Ubwo tugeze muri concern yatangiye kuba abantu bari benshi cyane, yatangiye kugishaka imiryango y'abana.
As there were so many people at the concern, the NGO started trying to put the children in welcoming families.
Ubwo rero nabonye umuryango, atangiye undi muryango, nabonye umuryango wa mukuru wa mama maternelle.
And I go to another family. This is number 5, which was actually my the bigger sister of my mother, right? So her aunt, right?
Ubwo yaje kunshaka, ariko ntawe yanshatse ku nyungu zanjye, ahubwo yanshatse ku nyungu ze.
She came to fetch me, not in my own interest, but in her very own.
Yajyanye kubera ko concern yabahaga ibiryo, ikabaha imyenda, ikabaha n'amafaranga makeya, ubwo anjyaniwe.
So she hosted me because she knew that concern would give them, would give her food, money, and even clothes.
Ubwo igihe cyarageze bampana uniforme yo kwiga.
At a time, I was even given a school uniform.
Ariko ngeze iwe ankoresha akazi k'uburetwa.
And when I got in her home, I was used as a slave, working very, very hard.
Yes.
Najyaga kwikorera ibitoki mu birometero 3, nkabizana ibitoki byo kwenga.
Where I would fetch banana bunches from.
Was this in Kigali?
Butare.
5 kilometers. Your concern yari
Butare, yes.
Oh, yeah. So the aunt was staying. Where was the aunt staying? Yeah.
i Butare Gatagara hafi ya groupe scolaire Butare.
Oh, okay. So
Iyo
so okay, so she left
iruhande rwa groupe scolaire
she left the
officiel.
concierge, the place,
Eh.
the orphanage area. Then her aunt took her because she took her to raise her so she could get money from the NGO, and then
Exactly.
she mistreated her, right?
Tanto yaratuye imbazi.
That's exactly. Yeah, work. She would give her too much work.
Yeah. So the
Like
aunt was living in a little town outside of Butare, but she mistreated her. Basically, what was it? Yari tante we kuri mama we, kuri kote wa mama we.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, yari mukuru wa mama we.
Yari nyina wabo. Yari nyina wabo. Yari nyina wabo mukuru wa mama we.
So she was the oldest sister of her mother. So she was on her side, of the Hutu side of the family.
Yes.
It's so funny because it's similar to my own story. That's why I'm like, oh my god. So
Yes.
so she gets to her aunt, and then the aunt starts mistreating her. Carry on.
Oh. It's like your own story, exactly.
Okay. Nyina we yamwikorezaga ibitoki, akavoma amazi, agatashya, agateka, agakubura, ntagire igihe cyo kujya kwiga.
I'm sorry. This is
so she would
I'm laughing because it's exactly what I've been through. So she gets to her aunt. The aunt makes her clean, sweep, do the dishes, cook for everybody, and she did not go to school. This is so funny. Oh my god, your wife and I, it's like we live the same lifestyle. Carry on. This is interesting.
Ubwo kugira ngo azabeshye concerne ko niga, nagendaga nka rimwe mu cyumweru cyangwa kabiri mu cyumweru, imyenda nkayikorana kugira ngo bazabone ko ishaje niga.
So to show concern that I was still going to school, she would let me go there once a week, and the uniform, of course, worn out because I used it for heavy work.
Concern iyo azaga gusura mu miryango yarazi gasanga imyenda yaranduye bakavuga ngo ndiga nta jambo nari mfite.
And so concern used to come to welcoming families to check on how their children are well treated, and of course her aunt would lie and say that, and concern of course would find her clothes much too dirty, and
ubwo umwaka wanjye wabaye imfabusa ku ishuri.
So
my first year school was lost. Yeah.
Yeah,
she.
So funny. She needs to read my story because it's the same story.
Ubwo yashize. Ubwo natangiye undi muryango igihe mononcle maternelle yazaga avuye i Congo.
So I started with another family when my uncle from my mother's side came back from the Congo.
Kuko ari wenyine rero yaje kunjyana ngo kugira ngo tujye kubana.
So this was also a sibling from the aunt,
right? Uncle, yes.
So
the brother of my mother. Oh yeah. Nyirarume, yes.
Yeah, so the brother of her mother came from Congo to take her.
Yeah.
So that she will move from that aunt's house, his sister, to his house. Similar to my story.
Right.
For me, it was completely the same. I went to Ivory Coast to my uncle, and I was mistreated. And for a whole year, I didn't go to school and I was doing the work. It's in my book. Seriously, it's the same story. That's why I can't stop laughing. It's like we were living the same life. So then the uncle took her to Congo. Carry on.
Bo bongeze kwa marume twarafatanyije inzu turayisana mba mukozi mba nk'umugore nkajya nkora byose ariko byibuze nishimye.
Yeah, actually, the uncle had fetched her because he was by his own, so he needed someone, and indeed, she was used to work very hard for him, household work.
She became the woman of the house. She was cooking, she was cleaning, she was doing the housework.
Yes. Yes.
Exactly.
Ikintu yankoreye cyiza nuko yaretse nkajya kwiga.
But one good thing he did was that he let me go to school.
Ubwo ntangira umwaka wa gatandatu primaire.
So I started standard 6.
Nubundi niho nagombaga kwigamo ariko sinabigamo kubera mukuru wa mama wacu yarambujije kwiga. Nubundi nagombaga kwiga mu wa gatandatu ubwo nawusubiyemo.
Because my aunt had prevented me from going to school regularly, I had to repeat the year.
Okay.
I mean standard 6.
Ubwo nize igihembwe cya mbere niga igihembwe cya kabiri tugeze mu gihembwe cya gatatu.
So I started all the 3 terms.
Ngeze mu gihembwe cya gatatu ubwo niganaga n'umwana w'umugore marume w'umwicanyi yari yarateye inda.
Subiramo.
Ubwo ndi mu wa gatandatu niganaga n'umwana marume w'umwicanyi w'umugore yari yarateye inda.
So during when I was in 6th during the 3rd term, there was a classmate, a girl who had been impregnated by a genocide perpetrator.
So he impregnated her, but she was a child because bari bafite imyaka ingahe, like in the
bose bari bafite imyaka 13 gutyo.
She was a teenager. So this genocide perpetrator actually committed pedophilia. He was a pedophile because he
yari yaramubyaye mbere. Ni nkaho twanganaga uwo mwana mfe. Yari yamubyaye mbere ni nkaho twanganaga.
Genocide perpetrator yapfanaga iki n'uwo mwana? Hari icyo bapfanaga?
Ntacyo bapfanaga nuko yari yabyawe na nyirarume ku mugore nyine gutyo ariko yamubyaye imbere ya genocide mbese twaranganaga.
Oh my bad. No. So
ni ukuvuga uwo mwana ni kuze wa
umwana uwo mwana ari umwana wa genocide perpetrator cyangwa
yes.
Okay, so the classmate's father was a genocide perpetrator.
Umwana biganaga yari umugore nyirarume yateye inda ariko mbere ya genocide uwo mwana twari dufite imyaka ingana.
So as I understand it, the little girl who was the schoolmate of Jean Baptiste's wife was impregnated by her maternal uncle. That's right.
Yes, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Ubwo mama we yaramubwiye.
He impregnated his own niece.
Ubwo mama we yaramubwiye ngo ajya nyegera narangize yikubite hasi ase nk'uwapfuye avuge yuko muroze.
Mama w'uwo mwana.
Yes.
Mama w'uwo mwana.
Mama w'uwo mwana. Wari warabyaranye n'uwo marume yaramubwiye ngo ajya nyegera ngo muri recreation amayikubite hasi none havuye abeshye ko namuroze.
Wait, okay, I have a question. So uwo mukobwa yari umwana papa we yari intera hamwe, mama we yari umuhutukazi, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly. Ariko ari umugore
mama we na papa we, mama we yari niece wa papa we.
Yeah. Oya, uwo mugore marume yari yaramuteye inda, ariko ntibabana ko yari afite undi mugore.
Yes, ariko relation
ubwo ni nkawe yari kuzine we. Yes,
yari kuzine.
ubwo c'est les enfants étaient cousines. Les enfants étaient cousines.
Oh my gosh, so Jesus. Okay, wait a minute. So, bivuze ko mama wo mukobwa yari tante wa umugore wanyu, right?
Se wo mukobwa yari uncle wanje.
Okay. So, okay.
Kandi akabintera hamwe.
Yes, wait. This is so twisted. Okay, so this is crazy. So the father of this girl was the uncle.
Iyo ngo yari oncle wanje, uravuga wowe wanje, uvuga mwijwi ry'umugore
wanje. Wanje genda vuga umudamu wanje.
Jean Baptiste.
Ndi kuvuga mwijwi ry'umudamu wanje.
Yes, ndabyumva. I get that. So it means I'm trying to translate for my fellow. Hi Lisa, for my fellow Americans, so they also get it. So wait, why am I speaking to you about English? So the classmate of his wife, the woman the one who's sharing her testimony. So the classmates and her were related because the classmate's father was the uncle of his wife. So the classmates and her were cousins. But now during the classmate's mother told the classmates to during break time to pretend and throw herself on the ground and tell people that she was poisoned by his wife.
Right.
Why?
Ubwo babikoraga kugira ngo ako gatutsi kazi bagatesha umutwe kave mu ishuri.
Oh my Jesus. So
they wanted to put all the responsibility on her.
So they were doing that because they would still saw her as a Tutsi and they wanted her out of the school because they just didn't want a Tutsi child to be with their Hutu children. Oh, Jesus. So even in Congo, they were still doing that, even after the genocide.
Yeah, exactly. Ni ingengabitekerezo itarashize. Kandi yari umututsikazi uba mu Bahutu.
Just like me, nari umututsikazi nanjye uba mu Bahutu. So she was also
Yes.
She was a Tutsi child living with Hutu people. Yeah, just like me. I get it because we live the same trauma. Yeah. So carry on.
Ubwo umudamu wanjye yabashije kwiga arangiza umwaka wa 6 ariko ntiyakora ikizami cya leta.
So uvuze no mwijwi ryawe. So my wife, the one giving the testimony was able to study her to do her standard 6, but did not sit for her national exam.
Kubera ko iyo yikubitaga hasi abantu bakoraga inama na diregiteri bari kumwe bakiga kuriyoka bakavuga ko mu by'ukuri ndogo uwo mwana kuko nta yindi mpamvu yituma yikubita hasi.
Because when she pretended to fall down, when she pretended to fall down, everything at school stopped, and they would examine the case and then said that there was no other cause but my wickedness.
And she was the only, he mentioned she was the only Tutsi child in that school.
Must be.
Ah.
So
Yeah,
all those
they were saying that it must be true because this child kept on falling and fainting, and they say it must be true because she was the only Tutsi child in the school, so she was the first. I'm sorry, this is funny.
Sure. So it is a kind of hunt witch.
She was the first. She was the primary suspect because she was the only Tutsi child in the school, and then the child kept on saying that she's poisoned by her cousin.
Ikintu cyambabaje kurushaho cyane ni uko uwo mudiregiteri nawe wafatanyaga n'abarimu kuntoteza yabaye padiri.
My strongest sadness was that the headmaster, the principal of the school, who used to persecute me, ended up becoming a priest.
So the head of the persecutor became a Catholic priest.
Yeah.
Yes. Ubwo
is he a priest now? Is he a priest now?
Monsieur
Padiri acyarimo.
Yes.
You just said something. You just said Athanasi, the Padre Athanasi. It's so funny because it's a similar story. I am laughing because I'm just saying how on earth I was in Burkina, she was in Congo, and we were living the same aura. We were living the same horror at the same time.
Exact. Quand j'ai lu cette histoire, je pensais à toi, hein, que c'était toi.
Oh my God. Oh, anyway. Okay, carry on.
Okay. Ubwo umudamu wanjye yaraje mu mwaka wa gatandatu, yakomeje kubana na nyirarume, batera imbere, inzu imera neza, akayifata neza.
Then, though I did not finish, graduate from Standard 4, I went on living with my uncle, who was now somewhat prosperous, and we were leading a good life.
Okay, ubwo ngiye gutangira noneho chapter ya 5, aho nayise étude post primaire. Okay? Ubwo narangiye kuba mu bafamiye, ariko nkikomeza kuba kwa Monoke, nangiye chapter ya les études post primaire et la vie professionnelle.
It's okay, I'll translate. So he's now going to talk about chapter 5, which is her studies after her high school and her professional life. So right now after she managed to graduate, she managed
Post-primaire.
Post-secondary school.
Post-primaire, ça veut dire après l'école primaire. Ntabwo yakoze high school.
Jean Baptiste, watubwiye ko atakoze ikizami cya leta. Watubwiye ko atakoze ikizami cya leta, byaje kugenda gute? Yagikoze ryari?
Yabikoze gute? So I don't understand.
Ubwo noneho uko atakoze ikizami cya leta, yagiye kwiga mu ishuri ry'imyuga.
What is that? Imyuga bivuze iki, Monsieur François?
Imyuga, ça veut dire école de métier. Le centre de métier, kuko bayitaga centre de métier, hajyagamo abana barangije école primaire. Ariko batagiye muri
she didn't go to secondary. She only did primary school, and because she could not do her exam because of that girl who kept on lying on her. So from primary school, she went straight to a program teach them how to learn on a profession. Métier c'est profession, right?
Yeah, professional, kind of professional school.
Oh, Jacqueline, thank you. Jacqueline said it's a vocational training.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Jacqueline.
Okay.
Yeah, vocational training. Okay.
Yeah, vocational,
Yes.
right? Vocational.
Yes. Yes. Ubwo muri iyo centre bigaga kubaza, kubaka, guteka, kudoda, un peu d'élevage aussi.
So the program in the vocational school was carpentry, agriculture, cooking, and so on and so forth.
Okay. Ubwo uwo mudamu wanjye yahise yiga section yitwaga section cuisine et conservation des aliments.
So my wife at the time in that school studied food processing, right?
Yeah, food processing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cuisine et food processing.
Cooking and food processing.
Yeah, exactly.
Cooking and food processing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Arangije kumubona eleve bamuha akazi kubera ko bigishwaga n'umu assistant technique allemand et ingénieur en biotechnologie.
Ariko ijwi ryatangiye kuba ribisi harazaho amakaraza.
Okay, it's fine. I can translate. So when she graduated with an outstanding result, and then there were German people that were hiring, and she was hired by them after she graduated from that training.
Okay, ubwo rero uwo mu assistant technique allemand yashyizeho un projet yo gukora des aliments de sevrage pour les vieillards et les enfants mal nourris qui vivaient dans les centres de santé ou les hôpitaux.
So then the technical assistant produced a program to teach
Okay, so the person who hired him had a project into creating a kind of nutrition for seniors and also malnourished children that were found in like the centers in the town where they were, to be able to feed them and give them more. So it was like a kind of like a project. It was a project plan to bring nutrients to malnourished children and seniors in that area.
Ubwo yashatse amasoko ku buryo twajyaga dukora, none abanjye bampa akazi ku buryo twajyaga dukora ibiryo ikiri 100-200 mu cyumweru.
Mfite ikibazo ariko mfite ikibazo, ijwi rya Jean Baptiste ritangiye kuzamo za parasite, ntumva neza.
I think ni connection yanyu kubera ngenda ndumva neza.
Riragenda
ni connection yanyu kubera ngenda ndamwumva neza.
Uramwumva neza?
Okay. Ubwo rero nagize imana bampamwe akazi nkajya mbona amafaranga yanzu dukorana korodoma y'amazi n'amashanyarazi tumera neza yanzu ya uncle.
So she says that she got with that project they hired her, so she was paid now, and then she helped her uncle actually have electricity in their house. They were developed now, so now they became like well developed. It became like she bettered the life of her uncle.
Wagataho marume yazanye umugore nawe umugore atangira kuntoteza.
So definitely my uncle took a wife who started persecuting me.
Impamvu bantotezaga cyane ni ukubera nyine ko nari umututsikazi kandi nkabe naranze kujya muri sector yabo y'abarungi.
She persecuted me mostly because I was a Tutsi and that I had refused to join the religious group, prayer group, Abarungi.
Wait, I have a question. Mumbabari. Is that sect, the cult called Urungi, was it only for Hutu people that were going there? Because it's the same sect that her family, her prior parents were also part of before the genocide. Was it like a cult for Hutu people?
Oya, abantu bose bashobora kujyamo ni secte yavuye muri Congo.
Oh, so it was a cult that was from Congo. Okay, perfect. I needed to understand because I remember the person who saved her in Congo was also part of that cult, and he was a genocide perpetrator. The one that she was feeding, walking 5 hours back and forth, like he was also part of that cult. So that's why I was like, okay, is it like a Hutu cult? What kind of cult was that? Okay, thank you for clarifying. So that cult was from Congo. But there were some people that were living in Congo that were part of that cult. Okay. So that's the new wife did not like her because the new wife of her uncle did not like her because she, number one, she was Tutsi, but number two, she refused to join the cult. Okay. Yeah, continue. Sorry.
Oya, icyo gihe uwo mugore w'uwo oncle yatangiye kuntoteza.
Yes,
so my uncle
yari umuhutukazi.
Yeah, so the wife of the uncle, because the uncle now got married and the wife was Hutu and she started mistreating her.
Yes. Bakandaza hanze, amashuka yanjye bakayashyira mu ishambure yabo, ibiryo bakabishyira mu ishambure yabo. Ajya kubarega kwa sogokuru, sogokuru akabihaniza ariko they didn't give up.
So they were okay. I think Mr. Francois has issues with his network. So they will actually so as soon as the wife moved in, the uncle also changed. So they will actually make her sleep outside. They will take her sheets and the food and they will put in their room and they will lock the room and she will run to her grandfather to actually tell him so that he can actually vindicate her. But then sorry. So then it will keep on continuing. Even though the grandfather would tell them to stop, they will continue mistreating her.
Ubwo kagati aho iyo projet yarahagaze.
So in the meantime, the project stopped.
Ariko nari mfite umuntu w'Imana twaganiraga za counseling akangorera za entretien we nari narahungabanye.
Mr. Francois, did you hear it? Do you want to translate?
Now I can hear, yes. Now I can hear.
Yeah, you can translate.
Fortunately, there was someone who was started
umuntu w'Imana,
a religious person who started caring for me and
yajyaga angira inama tukaganira nkamubwira ibibazo byanjye akankorera accompagnement psychologique.
So he was counseling her. That person, that religious
yes,
person,
exactly.
Was counseling her.
A kind of counsel.
Yes, ibibazo byanjye byose narimubwiraga.
And I would tell all my problems to her.
Uwo ni wabaye umugabo wanjye nyuma.
And that very person, that very guardian angel was to be my husband later. So that was jumping.
Ubwo yangiriye inama yo kujya kwiga nanone mpita ntangira kujya muri secondaire.
So he advised me to go back to school and I started secondary.
Akajya ansupportinga nyine ndiga wa mbere wa kabiri wa gatatu mba kwa oncle wa wundi ariko nkatotezwa cyane.
And though I was still living with my uncle, my angel guardian continued to support me the first 3 years of my secondary school.
ubwo bakantoteza cyane ndangije le comble de malheur nkajya njya muri vacances kwa wa wundi twahunganye i Congo kandi umugabo afunze baramukatiye imyaka 19.
And what is terrible is that during vacation, during the holidays, I would go to the very person who we were, the very family I was with in the forest.
In the one that they came she came to Rwanda. She came back to Rwanda with the family. She came back to Rwanda with, and the man was arrested, and she would walk with the food. So during the holidays, she would leave Congo. Yeah, so she would leave Congo to go to that family, the family where she used to walk for 5 hours. Going and 4 hours back. She would go to that family on holiday. Imagine your holidays. That's where they send you. This is ridiculous.
Ariko Jean Baptiste, reka nanjye mbaze nubwo ndende ariko mbaze ikibazo. Kwa wa mu uncle. Wavuze ngo bari batangiye kumererwa neza ari prosper. Yaje kuhava bigenze gute ko
amaze kuzana umugore batangiye kuntoteza
aho niho
yaramufashije so uri muribuka ko yabonye umugore wa Monsieur Jean Baptiste yabonye akazi afasha uncle we bagira amashanyarazi baraprosperinga noneho uncle we agenda gushaka umugore w'umuhutukazi araza umugore aje noneho the hell started umugore araza ahindura umutwe w'umugabo batangira
exactly.
Okay, aho niho ntumva ijwi rye neza ngira ngo.
Yeah, sorry, I was keeping Mr. Francois the story of how Mr. Jean Baptiste's wife, the one who's sharing the one story that we are talking about, her and her uncle didn't have any problem. They were living in peace. She had gone to that training. She got a job. She built a better life for her uncle and her. And then the uncle went and married a Hutu woman. And then as soon as they got married, that woman brought hell in the house. So she's the one who came and changed the heart of her uncle. So her uncle was not evil at first. It's important to mention that there was peace between them. Then when the wife came, then the wife brought hell and hatred. So now the uncle turned it on and he persecuted now the daughter. But then they had lived a long time without any issues. Side note, women, we have the power to turn our husband in a good way or in a bad way with our behavior. This woman brought hell in the house. There was peace. She came with hell.
Okay.
Carry on, Mr. Jean Baptiste.
Okay, ubwo amaze kunanirwa yajyaga ajya kuri wa muryango baturukanye muri Kongo akajya kujya gukora yo vacances.
So when it was possible to go on living with her uncle, she went to live with the very family which used to protect her in the Munyeragwe family, which used to protect her in the Congolese forest.
Bigezeho nabo akajya mubwira ngo rwose nta mushaka kubera ko abatutsi bene wabo bamufungiye umugabo.
But finally that woman started also mistreating her because she was a Tutsi, and her relatives put her husband in prison.
Ubwo bimaze kumuyobera.
I'm sorry, I have to say something. You see, this is the problem that I want everybody, especially my American friends, to understand. This woman that we are talking about, from the time she was conceived, she's never lived with her family on her father's side, her Tutsi family, okay? She never knew anything about her Tutsi family. She was raised by her Hutu family. But yet, she was hated. She was hated because she was Tutsi. Tutsi. You can imagine how I'm laughing, but I'm also hurting at the same time. Because we didn't choose to be Tutsi. So they were mistreating us. But we didn't understand why we were mistreated, why we were being the black sheep. Now this aunt is saying, your Tutsi people arrested my husband, when she's never even been with her Tutsi family. She's never even lived with them. She's lived with her Hutu family all her life. But yet she was hated. Carry on.
Umudamu wanjye amaze gukura ampete yari yashatse kwandika ibaruwa ayandikira ababyeyi be ngo abaze se impamvu atari yaramweretse umuryango we.
So when my wife had grown up, she meant to write a letter to her father asking, why didn't you introduce me to my own family? So yeah, it's a bit tricky. Jean Baptiste.
Oui.
Dusobanurira aho ngaho. Yanditse ibaruwa ayandikira umubyeyi we.
Yashakaga kwandika ibaruwa.
Yego.
Donc yashakaga kwandika ibaruwa en fait yashakaga kwandika ibaruwa mu kintu twitaga devoir de mémoire. Mbere yuko dutanga iyi témoignage twashaka kwandika soit igitabo, soit makinamico,
ni fiction.
It's like a memory. It's like talking. Okay, but she did not have. She's never met her dad. Now where is Abona Papa?
Oh yeah.
So
mama
ubuhamya
mbere yuko genocide iba yajyaga ajya gusura se, ariko se ntigeze amwereka umuryango. Se bamwishe muri 1994. Se bamwishe muri 1994.
Before the genocide, even though the mother was not married to her father, her mother would take her to her dad, but the dad never showed his family to her. But then her father was killed in the genocide. So she was now in the healing process. She decided to write a letter to her father to ask her father in the healing process. This was a therapy process to ask her dad, why didn't you present me to your family?
Ni leta ariko yandikaga ise yarapfuye yagira ngo mwandikire ise yarapfuye.
Yeah, so she wrote the letter after the dad. It was after the genocide. The father died in 1994, but she was writing it as a healing letter. It was a letter of like healing. She was writing it as a healing letter.
Okay. Ubwo bimaze kumuyobera umudamu wanjye yaba kwa oncle bimunaniye kubayo, uwo bavanye muri Kongo bimunaniye kubayo.
So he can't hear. Mr. Francois can't hear. So when she got to a place where the aunt, where the holiday she was going to, she chased her. She's like, I don't want you to come because you Tutsi people, you arrested my husband. Then she goes to her uncle in Congo, and the uncle is like, it persecuted her. When it became like too much to live in both sides, she decided to leave.
Okay, arangije noneho arambaza jewe wari wamufashaga ati nakora iki.
So now remember the counselor and her personal counselor and her guardian angel is Mr. Jean Baptiste, because he was a psychologist. He was her therapy. He was the one actually helping her and encouraging her to. He encouraged her to go back to school. He encouraged her to pour her heart and all that. Then she came to him and said, I don't have any place to go, but I need to get out of this house.
Okay. Ubwo namugira inama yuko kuko nari naragiye gukora stage i Kigali, mugira inama ko yazi Kigali akiga muri Centre de Langue Anglais Français.
So because Mr. Jean Baptiste was now in Kigali, he was no longer in Congo. He was now in Kigali for an internship. So he told her to come to Kigali and enroll into a school of English and French. It was a school that was teaching English and French.
ubwo yabaga kwa nyirarume wari umaze gufungurwa amazemo imyaka 9.
She was living with her aunt.
Uncle, yes,
her
uncle.
No, she was living with her uncle who was released from prison after he was in prison for 9 years.
Yeah, for yari yaragiye mu gusahura no kwica abantu, ariko kwica ntibyamfata, ariko yagendaga asahura ry'inka z'abandi n'ibindi.
So the reason he was arrested and put in prison for 9 years was because he was stealing from the Tutsi houses when they were killing the Tutsis in 1994, and he was also killing the cows and destroying properties of the Tutsis.
Arangije aramwirukana, akajya aza nijoro ntarye, akaza yasinze, arangiza aramwirukana ati ibyo warukuye mu busambanyi.
So that man was now mistreating her still, and he would at night when she would come back from school, he would take her. He would tell her that she I won't say I was gonna say she's a whore, but like that's extreme. She's like that he was always like drinking, and he would insult her, and he would tell her, go back to where you come from. So he was mistreating her. So now she was still mistreated.
Yes, ubwo yaramwirukanye, ndagize noneho mujyana mu yindi famille.
So now when Mr. Jean Baptiste realized that she was also again mistreated by her family, he took her to another family.
Ubwo yarize arangiza abona certificate mu Cyongereza no mu Gifaransa.
So she studied and finished, and she got her certificates in English and French languages.
Ariko natekereza ko yazakomeza kongera kwiga.
So Mr. Jean Baptiste wanted her to keep on to pursue her study and study more.
Ubwo hagati aho umwaka utari watangira, inshuti ya mama we amurangira akazi chez un industriel.
So before she finished her school, her mother's friend or acquaintance actually referred her to an industrial job that they were hiring.
Akazi ke kari ko guteka, ariko mu by'ukuri yakoraga akazi kose kuko yaryamaga amasaha 4.
So it was an industrial job, but it was actually, she was doing everything. She was cooking, she was cleaning, she was doing all of the stuff, and she was only sleeping 4 hours a night.
Kubera ko yaramaze kubaga kumbi, rero uwo mugabo ashaka kumufata ku ngufu inshuro nyinshi.
Because she was now a teenager, and like she had grown to be a woman, that man who hired her tried to rape her many times. He tried to take her to sexually abuse her by force many times.
Ubwo abonye ko ahantu hose yarangije kuhaba nta kindi kintu ashigaje.
When she realized that every place she's gone to, it's just persecution and there's nothing else to do.
Ubwo noneho yatekereje, noneho yakoze umupangu, niko navuga, wo kugira ngo yewe wamufashaga noneho ngushe mu mutego, noneho mutera inda.
yewe nawe numva neza ibyo Jean Baptiste avuga rwose birambuye.
So when the lady realized that everywhere she goes to, like her uncles and aunties and places, she's facing like all this kind of trial and tribulation. She decided to plan her way and make wait a minute. I hear an echo behind me. Stop. I think it's Monsieur. Monsieur Jean Baptiste. I'm gonna get you. Perfect. So when she realized that everywhere she goes is trouble, so she decided that because Mr. Jean Baptiste was her counselor, so she decided to actually trap her counselor and her guardian and fall pregnant, so that he can marry her, so that she can actually live with him, because that's the only person who's not gonna mistreat her.
nkamwangira kubera ko nabwira ko ndi umuntu wihaye Imana.
Because she tried to have like to date him, but he refused because Mr. Jean Baptiste had decided to give himself to God. So he had made a vow of chastity, I think. Mwari umupadiri.
Nari umufrere nka Oromisdas.
Notice. Ce n'est pas vrai.
He was like Mr. So he had studied to become a Catholic priest, but he had decided to just give his life and not get married and give his life to God and just become. So he had made a vow of chastity. So she wanted him, but they call them brothers in English. So he was not a Catholic priest, but he had made a vow of chastity. So she decided to trick him and fall pregnant so that he can leave the vow, and then they will live together.
Yigira go padiri nari umufrere gusa ntago nari kuzaba padiri nari umufrere gusa.
So he did not want to be a Catholic priest, but he had made a vow of chastity. No marriage, no wife, no personal relationships.
Okay, ubwo yakoresheje amayeri akomeye cyane, aza kunsura aho nabaga, tumushyize mu ijambo ry'abashyitsi ageze nijoro ati abazimu banteye, ati ntabwo nshobora kuryama jyenyine, ubwo nyine turaryamana pour sa sécurité nyine ariko.
They put her in a guest room, and then that night she says she's having a nightmare. She can't sleep alone. So he, as the comforter or the protector, he decided to spend the night in her room so that she's safe. Oh, sorry. Move. I had put you on mute. Carry on.
Okay. Ubwo rero nyine ibyo byavuyemo yuko namuteye inda.
So she got what she had planned. She fell pregnant. Oh, sorry. So the electricity went off. Even Mr. Francois. So Monsieur Jean Baptiste, can you conclude, because I can see your electricity went off both sides.
Yeah, natwe umuriro wagiye.
Mr. Jean Baptiste, sorry.
Tubana twabyaye abana batatu, tumeze neza, gusa ikibazo ni cy'ubushobozi bwo kubarihira gisigaye, ariko en conclusion abana bavutse ku Batutsi n'Abahutu baburuzwaga uburenganzira bwabo, uburenganzira bwo kugira izina rya se officially, bakagira izina rya ba sekuru, bavuga ngo bisanzuraga mu muryango w'abahutu kuko bafataga ubwoko bwa base. Ubwo rero iyi nkuru, iyi témoignage turayitanga kugira ngo abantu bose babayeho nk'uwo mudamu wanjye babashe kuzavuga.
So he's saying because there's a shortage of electricity on both sides. They both live in Butare. So he's saying that in conclusion, the reason why they wanted to share, of course, now they after she fell pregnant, they got married. Now they have 3 children and they are happily married. But the reason why they are sharing this story is because they are encouraging people that also felt this kind of trauma and pain because they were born like me and his wife. They were born, their father were Tutsis, and they were mistreated just because they carried their blood as a Tutsi child without even realizing or understanding why, to encourage them to share their story.
Kuri dédicace dushaka gukora dédicace, nous dédions ce témoignage à son mari, ses parents disparus, à ses 3 filles, à Ormisdas Ndayishimiye nk'uko se yashimiye Imana, natwe turamushimiye ko yaduhaye umwanya kugira ngo tubashe kuvuga iyo témoignage, kandi tukadediya imemoire ku bana bose bavutse kuri couple mixed Tutsi Hutu batabasha kuvuga ubuzima bwabo.
So they are. I'm going to mute the echo. So, okay, there we go. So they are dedicating this testimony to. She is, of course, he's speaking on behalf of his wife. So she is dedicating her story to, first of all, to her husband, to her 3 girls, to Mr. or Mrs. no, my bad. To her parents that were, her dad was killed in 1994, and her mother also, who was killed, and to all the children that were like her, from 2 different for parents of 2 different tribes like me. So she's dedicating to all the children that had to go through that kind of pain, and also she's encouraging them to speak, because as she's sharing her story, her prayer is that they can also share their story and heal from it.
Grand merci et bonne soirée.
So he says thank you and good night, because they have no electricity, and I think we are done. Like, so, Mr. or Mrs., do you have any parting word before we go?
Oui, mais c'est vraiment une histoire très très poignante. Au fur et à mesure que nous allons découvrir des histoires vraiment très, je pense que c'est une belle chose. Vous aussi, vous remercie parce que partager ces histoires, c'est une sorte de guérison. Alors, merci beaucoup, Aline et François.
Okay, I'm going to put you on mute. Because it's so. Okay, perfect. So, Mr. Omistas was saying hold on, let me. I'm trying to mute. Okay, hold on. So, they disconnected. I think his phone has issues. But anyway, so he was saying, Mr. Omistas was saying that he's thanking the story of of Mr. Jean Baptiste's wife is very, very painful, but he's thanking her for sharing the story, and he's also thanking this platform to happen so that it gives other people the courage to share the story. So if you are like me and his wife, and you want to share your story of the trauma you've went through, just because your father was Tutsi and your mother was Hutu, and you were raised by your mother's side of the family, please, please, please email us at Seeking Grace Foundation. You know what? I am going to tell you, even if you want to share your summary in Kinyarwanda, please send it. I am blessed to have Mr. Francois. He will translate your summary and will be able to understand it. But please share your story. This is a platform that I'm telling you, I made a vow to my grandmother at the age of 7 that I will grow up one day and I will write a book, and I'm going to go to Rwanda, and I'm going to look for genocide survivors that like me have suffered, and we will share our story to the world. I kept my promise, and I'm trying my best to keep my promise. Even though she died when I was 11, I promised myself that one day I'm going to find a way to share, to not only share my story, because I could have just written a book, and then my book is bestseller and I'm just like minding my business. No, I have a vow, and I made a vow to to my grandmother, and yes, my father too. I lost my father at the age of 5, that I will keep their legacy by helping other people also talk about their story, share their story. So I encourage you, if you have a story that you would like to share, send us your story. Send us your story. This is a platform, and we are going to have many people come. We are going to have many other people come, and I'm excited to tell you that not only we will have genocide survivors that will share their story, even genocide killers that went to prison, that paid their dues, that asked for forgiveness, that are released now, they are willing to share. We have countless people that are willing to share their side of the story as genocide perpetrators. So I am asking you to share. We are going to have people who are genocide perpetrators who are going to come and share their story. Yes, you heard me right. People who killed people, who went to prison, paid their sentence, asked for forgiveness, and now they are living in peace with the people that they tried to kill and they couldn't finish them. We are going to have them on site. So I encourage you to keep on sharing. Please share this. The only way, like I think Jacqueline said it so well. We have to realize that the ideology of genocide and hate does not go away overnight. It is long lasting, and many people still have that ideology and hate today. So we must always be vigilant and continue to fight it. Absolutely, Jacqueline. And I made a promise to my father and to my grandmother and to the 98% of my family that I lost in the genocide against the Tutsis, that I'm going to use my weapon for my story, and I'm going to look for genocide survivors who are ready to share their story, because we are not coming with machetes. We are coming with our story. We are coming with our story because we are ready to be able to share our story so that the truth can come out. It's been too long that we've been having all this ideology of double genocide, no genocide, or killing on both sides or whatsoever. Like me, I am coming with the truth. As a child of God, I believe that you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So yes, I am going to interview even genocide killers, that people that went into prison were sentenced, pay their dues in prison, and that are ready to speak. Yes, I found them, and yes, I will have them on this platform. So keep on sharing, subscribe, share, because the only way we can spread the light of Christ is by sharing, and it's by speaking our story. So I encourage you to come, because every Monday and Thursday we will have testimonies, and we do have a lot of testimony coming up. However, next week, again, like I said, I have a lot of hats. I'm an entrepreneur. I am a geologist. I'm a public speaker. I am this and this and this, but I'm also a life coach. And next week I have a 3-day course, a 3-day masterclass that will start on Wednesday, and I will be traveling. Actually, I have some business to do before that Wednesday, so I will not be available on Monday to do the live interview. So we will push our next interview for October, the following week, which is gonna be October. Just a minute. October 11. So we'll be back on October 11 for more testimony. Like I said, stay on, because you're not going to listen to only genocide survivors. You are going to listen to genocide perpetrators who are going to tell you why they killed and what was in their head when they did it, and all of that. So stay tuned. We love you, and I know they don't have they don't have electricity. Mr. Omistas, are you here? Mr. Omistas?
Yeah. Yes.
Do you have anything else to add before we go? Because it's been 2 hours and 30 minutes. My American friends might be like, oh my God, this is a long interview.
Uranyumva?
Yes.
Umva. Urakoze cyane rero, hari izindi histoire zikomeye rwose zizaza, kandi bikavura abantu benshi, bikagira akamaro abantu benshi. Rwose urakoze cyane, turagushimiye, kandi ndabona umuriro ugiye kurangira muri telefone, wihangane, ariko murakoze cyane. Murakoze cyane. Yes.
I know. Mr. Francois, can you hear us? Mr. Francois, can you hear us?
Yes, wonda kumva bariya nibo ntumva neza.
Okay, yeah, but they don't have a good connection. So, mushobora kudusengera tugasoza. Also, Mr. Omistas was saying that he's thanking us, and he's saying there are many more testimony ahead. Yes, I'm telling you, it's going on to crazier and crazier. Like I said, I can't wait to interview the people that are coming, because some of them are genocide killers. I have so many questions that I am going where, because they asked for forgiveness and they repented for their sin, so I can't continue to call them killers. Yes, they paid their dues, but they were genocide killers. They were killing Tutsis during the genocide against Tutsis in 1994. So we are going to hear their story. We are going to hear what was happening in their head, because it's important to go through both sides and know what was happening in their head and what was happening in our head. So as survivors, we were running, but what was happening in their head, and why did they do what they did? So we will find out. So stay tuned. We will come back October 11, not this Monday, but the other Monday coming. So yeah, Monsieur François, mushobora kudusengera tugasoza.
Basengere?
Yes.
Mu Kinyarwanda cyangwa mu Cyongereza?
Mu Kinyarwanda.
Reka ngerageze.
Cyangwa mu Cyongereza, whichever you want.
Mana y'u Rwanda, wabanye natwe muri iki kiganiro n'uyu mwana wacu wanyuze mu bigeragezo bikomeye cyane, ariko akaba yarashoboye waramufashije kubivamo, kandi akiyemeza gufasha abandi bose bagize ibibazo nk'ibye. Ni wowe wabimfashemo, Mana y'u Rwanda. Afite komeze imbaraga, uko yatekereje, yagize igitekerezo cyiza cyo gufasha abandi. Umukomeze umutima, ukomeze umutima w'abandi bagenzi bacu bashaka nabo kuzakomeza gutanga ubuhamya, kugira ngo turwanye ikibi, kugira ngo turwanye jenoside, kuko abaduhemukiye baracyahari, bafite ijwi rikomeye. Ni ngombwa rero Nyagasani yuko ari uriya mwana Aline, ari n'abandi bose bameze nkawe, batinyuke nk'uko yatinyutse, bavuge, ubahagazeho, uzabafashe, uzabaha ijambo, uzabaha ikaramu bandike, hanyuma natwe bakuru turiho tugenda tuzasige u Rwanda rwawe Nyagasani rurimo abantu bameze neza batinyuka bakiza abandi ndetse bakiza n'aba bandi bana b'abagizi ba nabi igihugu cyawe kizatungana Nyagasani turagushimiye.
Amen, amen. I'm sorry, I was crying. The prayer was so good. The prayer was good to the point that I started crying. So thank you so much for watching us. Mr. Officer, it's okay. I muted him. There's an echo on Mr. side.
Muranyo.
Diego.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
yeah, it's okay. So I was concluding. So thank you all for coming. God bless you, and I will see you for this talk October 11. And I hope that come ready because you will have more testimony. We have a lot of people that want to talk, and I want to encourage more people. Please share your story, like Mr. Francois said in his prayer. It's important to leave Rwanda with a legacy of people that got to talk and share what happened. Thank you, and God bless you. Bye.